The rest of the world is like a frog in boiling water, not realizing that the United States is slowly but surely becoming a proper footballing nation. But there are certain requirements that you have to have in order to be a proper footballing nation. You need to have a domestic league fan get an entire full body tattoo of a kit of one of the teams in your domestic league. It is known. It's just something that's known. You need to have a couple of different players win a Champions League as part of various clubs, to be a proper footballing nation. You need to be involved in memorable, World Cup moments over the years. And perhaps most importantly, you need to have players get involved in drama. Like drama that has nothing to do with the fact that they are from where they're from, but drama that is, run-of-the-mill type transfer drama at various clubs across Europe and across the world. And while the United States might have not checked all of these boxes, despite the fact that I think the U.S. is a pretty good national team, and I'm hoping we do well at our World Cup, and that's the most random dose of optimism you'll get in the world of football right there that I just gave you. Josh Sargent has delivered upon one of the things the United States had, as of yet, not really created, which is incredibly toxic, over-the-top transfer drama. And it's happening at Norwich City, which, if you are not paying attention to the championship, which is an entirely forgivable sin, you would know that Norwich City is at 20th in the table. They are actually a relegation-threatened side, which is pretty wild. They're not nearly as bad as Sheffield Wednesday, who's at -7 points. Of course, Sheffield Thursday is so low, they're not even on the table. But Norwich is at 30 points. And if it wasn't for that Sheffield Wednesday situation, which honestly, they only have one win in 27 matches anyways, so points deduction or not, they're going to be getting relegated. Norwich is having a shocking season. Okay, this is a team that obviously, within living memory, was a swing team between the Premier League and the Championship. It's a team that, on name brand value, you would expect to be competing for a playoff spot, not necessarily dominating the league, but definitely above, teams like Charlton Athletic and, Sheffield United and Swansea City, who's been down in the Championship for quite a while, and Birmingham City. And, hell, it's a weird table this year. Millwall's all the way up in 5th and trying to give themselves a chance to get to the Premier League, which I'm pretty sure would be the harbinger of the end of days if Millwall's fans were introduced to the Premier League in general. But we're focused on Norwich today because Josh Sargent is there, as I've mentioned, and he has decided, along with Norwich, sorry, I pronounced the W, which I also realize is on the long list of cardinal sins that are available to me when talking about the championship here. They've started a giant kickoff of transfer drama. This all started, and I thought this was incredibly, incredibly surprising, just as a move. And I'm going to tell you what side I'm on as we go through this story. This is in an article by Paul Tenorio and my dog, Tom Bogert, a guy that I know personally, a wonderful individual. Basically, the Fabrizio Romano of MLS, except he's less AI and more human being, which is always helpful. Now, he's part of the author of this article. And Josh Sargent, this is when I first heard that he was even upset at Norwich, although it makes sense that he would be upset there. He's trying to make it to a World Cup, right? Josh Sargent is one of those guys that is not guaranteed a spot on the U.S. national team going into the World Cup. He is playing for a team that is 20th in the championship, and he feels like a move, particularly a move to MLS at this moment, would be good, right? A surprise relegation fight playing on a not good team is not something that is going to help your case. It is also, World Cup aside, not something that's going to help your career. This is going in the wrong direction for Josh Sargent. This guy used to play in the Bundesliga. He was obviously at Norwich hoping to be able to battle this team back up to the Premier League so that he could play on that stage, right? And he's still just coming into the prime of his career. This is not the type of situation he'd want to find himself in. All of that considered, still surprising to hear, the transfer saga kicked off when Sargent messaged Norwich manager Philippe Clement ahead of Norwich's FA Cup game against Walsall on Sunday to say he was not available for the game. After the game, Clement insisted Sargent would not move in this window. He literally texted his manager and went, "I'm not going to play today." This is what Clement said. He sent a message saying he was not available because of transfer things that are in his head. We need to speak about that this week inside the club. The club has been really clear about that. We know which situation we are in. Him and his agent know the situation, so he will not leave in this transfer window. I am fully on the side of the club at this particular moment. I'd love to back my dog, Josh Sargent. I'd love to be, ride or die with every American until the end of time. But I feel like, given the way some Americans handle themselves in the first place, that's probably a bad idea in general. But Josh Sargent I don't know what's happened before this. Obviously, nothing publicly has really come out that's happened before this. Maybe they told Josh to go fuck himself. You better play or I'm going to shave that red afro of yours. Like, I don't know what they were threatening. They probably weren't threatening anything. He just heard that there was a transfer offer from Toronto FC. That's the offer. And he's kicked off this wild drama by texting the manager that he's not going to play. And the manager's like, hey, guess what? We've made it very clear to you, even though this interest has come in from Toronto FC, one of the best clubs in MLS, definitely, great club to play for by MLS standards for sure, and a club that, national team players for both Canada and the US have played for pretty consistently since the dawn of time, it would seem. There's always a national team player on Toronto FC. So it's a place you can go and be a national team player. And dare I say, probably a better place to be than the 20th position in the championship, right? This is an argument that I can have on stream, but we've had this argument on stream before. I think you'd rather, as an American player, play for Toronto FC than play for a 20th place team in the championship 100 times out of 100. So I get that thought process. But the club, all the club can do, he's under contract until 2028, is make it clear we're not going to leave. Right? Like maybe you even say, we'll revisit this in the summer. It's like a football manager promise. Like, you're not going to leave right now. Because if you're Norwich, you're looking at this situation and you're up Schitt's Creek without a paddle here. You are in a relegation fight, and now your championship team of the season striker from last year is threatening to leave. Not threatening to leave. He's saying he's starting to send texts that he's not going to play. Right? Sources at the club back their manager's statement saying that Sargent is not for sale. And then there's more information that I just didn't know or didn't really hear about at the time that it was happening that puts me even further on Norwich City's side here, in that Sargent had the opportunity to return to Germany in the summer. Wolfsburg apparently had tendered a $28 million bid with personal terms also agreed. So everything was set. Norwich had accepted. And at the final stage, Sargent opted to stay at Norwich for personal reasons. Right? He could have left. He could have gone to Wolfsburg and gone back to Germany, and I guess for whatever reason he didn't want to go back to Germany. He wanted to stay at Norwich. He got convinced with the project or whatever. But as this article words it, half a year later, they're surprisingly locked in a relegation battle. That situation has changed. Yes, but if you really wanted out of Norwich that badly, Josh Sargent had that opportunity over the course of the summer. He could have gone to play in one of the top 5 leagues in Europe once again, but he decided to turn that down to stay with Norwich. And the fact that this offer is about $10 million bigger than the offer that's coming in from Toronto FC right now is part of the reason that Norwich does not want to let him move. Not only is he under contract, not only are they in a relegation fight and they need their best players to stay, right? They feel they can get more money for Josh Sargent, which I agree with. I'm going to side with the club for the umpteenth time in this situation, right? Like that I think that they're doing the smart thing here. He's under contract till 2028. They think they can get more money in the summer, letting Josh Sargent go this summer. Maybe they'll throw him up for sale, particularly if he is insanely upset. They feel they wouldn't lose too much market value for waiting to the summer window. I won't pretend to be an expert on the financial situation of all these clubs, but that feels right to me. The summer window is when more moving and shaking is able to happen, when, especially in the era of FFP, where you don't have as many opportunities for panic purchases. There's more, opportunity for planned purchases to fill various holes in the team. And that was the last I heard about this situation until apparently more shit's hit the fan. This one's from my guy Tom Bogert again. After a heated meeting with Norwich City sporting director Ben Napper, and head coach Philippe Clement, it appears that Josh Sargent has played his last game for the club. Sargent was visibly upset. One source, there was a comment made regarding Sargent's family, which was the last straw. What? Now all of a sudden I'm flipping again. Now all of a sudden I'm on the side of Josh Sargent. But I am going to tell you this. I'm loving the he said, she said. This is some vintage, disgusting, down in the dirt transfer drama. And I'm lapping it all up. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. I'm just hearing little tidbits coming from all over the place. We got texts to managers saying I'm not available. We've got the club insisting that this guy's not leaving. And then we've got behind the scenes meetings that blow up with people, quote unquote, visibly upset. We've got family members being dragged into the fray. Now, maybe this is some very polite, Philippe Clement sitting there and going, hey, maybe you're listening to your dad too much. It's one of those situations. I have no idea even what family member this is. I don't know the management or agent situation of Josh Sargent. Maybe it's an Mbappe situation where his mom's running the show, a Haaland situation where his dad's running the show. I don't know. But clearly, whether it's that or not, Norwich City felt that, the family was maybe too involved in this decision, or that maybe the more dangerous side is, I'm sure Josh Sargent, being an American, has got a lot more family in North America. Maybe they dropped the truth nuke and they're like, hey, we move your family over here or something. Like, you don't have to go over there just to spend time with your family. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with what this situation would be. But as every good transfer saga does, fucking no actual information is coming out other than shit's getting worse. You could have replaced this entire post with shit's getting worse, right? Not only, they're going to sit down and try and figure out what's happening with the club, but he is not for sale. I will say, Norwich is trying not to allow a precedent that a player can force a move like this, but Norwich is not exactly getting their wish here. They have not managed to handle the situation in a way where Josh Sargent is going to play. That's what they want. They want Josh Sargent to play because they are 20th in the league, and they need the star striker to be there so that they cannot be 20th in the league. That is not helping. None of this is helping. Whatever decisions they've made, whatever family member they've decided to attack in this meeting is backfired. This meeting did not go the way Norwich wanted it to go. They wanted to soothe Josh Sargent and get him to play till this summer, although that will take him straight into the World Cup, and I know that's probably a big reason that Josh Sargent doesn't want to do that in the first place. He wants to go somewhere. He wants to score goals. He wants to show off for Pochettino, and he wants to get into the World Cup team, which is tenuous. Haji Wright's looking pretty darn good, right? You got another American striker in this league who's at the other end of the league table, who's balling out and looking like he's going to be in the team. And there are other American strikers out there that are not in the English Championship or in the English leagues in general that are going to push Josh Sargent out of that team if he's not careful. You really got a spot for three with the way Pochettino plays. I think Haji Wright's already got one locked up. There's Folarin Balogun. There's Ricardo Pepi. There's even Patrick Adjemang, who's in the Championship as well, I believe. He just made his move over to Europe from Charlotte, where he was balling out, and he's already on the radar as a guy that could, he's got caps for the national team. Sargent sees that opportunity in that window closing. And now, maybe them going after his family is going to provide a convenient excuse for him to try and win the PR war here and get his move out of Norwich. But Norwich is unlucky in the sense that Josh Sargent is a, borderline World Cup roster player in a World Cup year for a home World Cup. And so he's going to be more desperate than ever to try and force this move. And I think Norwich might be wise to realize that that's what's going on, or else this is just going to continue to turn into a bigger and bigger mess. But if it does, obviously I hope that everybody ends up happy at the end of the day and my boy Josh Sargent ends up where he wants to be. But in the meantime, this is very entertaining. I do appreciate the melodrama.